Good evening and welcome to the January 10th Board of Trustees meeting of the Village of Tuckahoe. Will everyone please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Lang.
Present.
Trustee Howell. Present. Trustee Taylor.
Present.
Trustee Cronin.
Present.
Mayor Andino.
Present. And today we have several appointments, and we will start with the first two. The authorizing the appointment of Daniel and Brandon Bellis to the position of police officer effective January 3rd, 2022. May I have a motion?
Second.
Call the roll. Yes.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor, and let's start with Daniel. Will you come forward to be sworn in? We're going to come up there. I work with these masks. It's not easy, so bear with us. Do you have someone that can hold the, if you stand here and have your mom stand there? Mrs. Proud Mom, just ask you to please place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Daniel Bellis,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer in the Village of Tuckahoe
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the police officer in Tuckahoe
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. She wants a picture first. I don't know what they're gonna do without Dee when she's. Yes. Okay. Can you stay right there again, facing me?
Danny, face her, yeah.
Okay, you can have a seat. You can, yeah, Dad is gonna come now, okay. Just stand here. Place your left hand on the Bible. Yes. I, and state your name,
I, Brandon Bellis,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer in the Village of Tuckahoe,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
police officer,
police officer in the Village of Tuckahoe
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Picture with them. I'd like to give an opportunity to Daniel and Brandon to each say a few words. Mhm.
I would just like to thank the mayor and the board for giving me this opportunity and a very fair and wonderful interview. I'd like to thank the chief as well and the department for being very helpful through these stressful times in the academy. And most of all, my parents and my family for being so supportive and helping me achieve my dreams. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the board and the mayor for giving me this opportunity. Thank you to my parents, thank you to my family, and thank you to the chief. Just grateful that everyone's very supportive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief? I'm getting the hang of it, Chief. Okay. So we have, we have everyone doing everything. Now we can.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. I just want to congratulate Daniel and Brendan tonight. This is a first for the Tuckahoe Police Department. Not that we have never had brothers before, but never hired the same night. So congratulations to them. They come from a long line of police officers. Their grandfather, Henry Bellis, served the department beginning in the 1960s for many years and became commanding officer of the Detective Division. And their mom, Margaret Bellis, was a lieutenant with the Tuckahoe Police Department for many years. And their dad, Daniel, was a sergeant with the Tuckahoe Police Department. So they have a long line of commitment to our community. As you know, in the interviews, there was no doubt that we were hiring two excellent candidates, two people who we know are going to excel when they become police officers. Over the next several months, they are attending the police academy, so they'll be going through some very rigorous training, and we know that they're going to come back well prepared for the Tuckahoe Police Department, in great shape, because we know that they've been doing some extra push-ups and some extra laps. So we just want to say congratulations. Henry Bellis, as I mentioned earlier, was so disappointed he couldn't be here tonight. He was just recovering from a hospital visit and didn't want any exposure. So we say to Henry, we miss you tonight. We know how proud you are, and congratulations. And congratulations to these young men.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And just before I sit down, I do want to thank Mayor and the entire village board. We've had some vacancies recently from retirements and resignations, and how quickly you've allowed us to fill these vacancies, both at the entry level, like we've done tonight, as well as backfilling some promotions. We've recently made a detective, we've made a detective sergeant, and we made a patrol sergeant, all in the last several months. And we couldn't do that without this board support, so I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'd like to give an opportunity if the family would like to say anything, you're welcome to. Sure.
No, again, our family couldn't be more proud for our two sons. We have 5 children, but for 2 of them to continue the commitment to this village, they've grown up. I've shared with some of you. They've grown up around the police department, but more so as members of the community with a giving spirit. And I said to them, as they embark on this journey with the police academy, the real goal always is to keep people first, to serve and help and do what you can. And again, I couldn't be more proud to offer them to you, to this village, to become part of one of the most wonderful police departments, certainly in the county and in the state. And so thank you so much to the chief and to all of the members of the police department for having faith, and for all of you for having the faith in them that they will come forth and truly serve. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for offering them up, and we gladly receive them. So if there's anybody on the board that would like to wish some congratulations, Trustee Lang.
Yes. I happen to know Peggy and Danny very intimately. I used to cheat off Peggy in high school. And Danny and I were college roommates. So I remember these boys when they were born, and I'm excited to have you guys in Tuckahoe Police Department. Thank you very much for taking the job.
I just wanted to say that it's really a privilege to be part of the hiring process and to be able to interview these particular candidates who really show a lot of maturity and compassion beyond their years. And so I look forward to everything that you're going to bring here.
Yes. Trustee
Taylor.
Eleanor Taylor.
I too know Danny and Peggy and the boys since they were little guys. And the way they interviewed really showed us that they were prepared to serve and that they understood just exactly what their mother just expressed. Because everything about them was about service first and the community. So welcome and congratulations.
So Tuckahoe, you are in very good hands. If how they interviewed is any indication of how they will serve, we are all in very good hands. These two young men are impressive for young men and impressive for people twice their age. They really are astounding candidates, and I'm glad to know you and to have you serve here and for you to be of service to your community. I think it's so important, and I can see through your resumes and also through your family how important service is to you. So thank you for joining us, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Yes. And I just echo the sentiments of the entire board. Your insight and even your wisdom at such an early age really impressed me, and I can see why, Mom. So thank you for accepting this position, and I wish you guys all the best in Tuckahoe for years to come. And thank you, Chief, for the recommendations. So I don't know if the family would like to stay and listen to the entire rest of our meeting, which it's sometimes fun, sometimes not so fun. You guys can take your family and share in this moment right now. Thank you. If anybody who's in the back would like to come up, there are some seats up here. Okay.
There goes our audience.
So we have 3 more appointments. So the third appointment is authorizing the appointment of Constance Kataki, otherwise known as Connie, in the Village Hall, to the position of court clerk effective Friday, January 7th. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations to Connie. I'm always heartened when I see that there are people in the community that want to serve. And we have 2 appointments for ad hoc members to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term ending March 31st, 2022 for Heather Rinaldi and Lauren Peretta. May I please have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations to Heather and Lauren, and thank you for serving. Are they both here, Renee?
Heather is
Are
not.
they
I don't know if it's Lauren.
on Zoom, maybe?
Maybe
Is
Lauren's on Zoom.
Heather or Lauren, are you on Zoom? You know how to work Zoom,
Yes.
Gary? Oh.
Heather looks like she's here.
If Heather would like to say anything, she may.
Should go now.
Yep.
Heather?
Hi, thank you. Board, sorry I couldn't be there today. Really looking forward to getting started.
Thank you, Heather, for serving, and congratulations. Okay, and so the next order of business is we have some presentations. The first one from the Tuckahoe Varsity Cheerleaders, which please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Isabella Pepperman, and I am here on behalf of the Tuckahoe Varsity Cheerleading Team. I am a senior captain and member of the team. A few weekends ago, on December 4th, our team earned a bid to the Nationals competition in Orlando, Florida in February 2022. If you are unaware, this competition is the most prestigious high school cheerleading championship in the entire country, and it's a perfect opportunity for teams to get together and celebrate our routines. In Tuckahoe's history, our cheerleading team has only been in attendance once, so it's a pleasure to represent Tuckahoe. However, due to the out-of-state location of this event, the school is unable to pay for travel and competition fees. This is an overwhelming responsibility to parents, and therefore, fundraising is a popular resource that many teams use to offset the cost. Our overall goal is to raise $26,000. We recently ran a t-shirt fundraiser in which we asked local businesses to donate to the team. In return, we created a t-shirt that lists the name of every single business that donated. We will wear this to and from every single competition in January. We also had a banner fundraiser, which will be displayed in front of Tuckahoe Village and in front of our school with the names of the fundraisers. We have raised $20,000 with our efforts. In order to go to nationals, as stated before, we need $26,000. We will continue our fundraising efforts, but we have also opened up a GoFundMe under Tuckahoe Cheer Road to Nationals 2022.
Say that again, please.
Tuckahoe Cheer Road to Nationals 2022.
Okay.
Our team is extremely grateful for the assistance and backing we've received and hope to receive during our experience. Specifically, we want to thank Mayor Andino and the Tuckahoe Board for supporting us in this endeavor and their personal donation to our cause. With your support, we have reached many local businesses, and we are proud to represent our town and reach this fundraising goal. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you, and
Thank you.
congratulations. $20,000 is nothing to sneeze at. I think you're gonna
I know.
you're gonna surpass that amount. So Tuckahoe, come out for our cheerleaders. Look out for Tuckahoe Cheer Road to Nationals GoFundMe page, right?
Yes,
And-
2022.
So they can just go on GoFundMe and type that in.
Yes.
When
Thank
is
you.
the competition?
It's February 11th or 12th. Sorry, I don't know the exact date.
Congratulations
Thank you so much.
and good luck.
Thank you.
All righty. So for those of you who don't know, I, in another life, also am CEO for a not-for-profit. I work with people with developmental disabilities, and in the midst of COVID, we found ourselves really grappling with keeping people safe, getting them tested, getting them vaccinated, and we really have a great support in 2 pharmacies that we work with, and they did a tremendous job working in our industry. And so when we were looking for help in Tuckahoe, I called on them for their support. And they're small pharmacies. They're not the big, CVS's or Walgreens of the world. But all they needed to hear from me is, we need you in Tuckahoe. Can you help? And they both said yes. And since March of 2020 to date, they've helped us and volunteered their time and volunteered their expertise. I think for about combined 12 clinics, and have vaccinated more than 1,200 and tested 1,200 residents. So we saw fit to show appreciation to these 2 pharmacies, and we're going to present them with a proclamation today. So I'd like to ask Allure Specialty Pharmacists and their representative to come forward, please. Thank you. And he's standing here before me is Ronnie Moore. He's keeping the space. He's a pharmacist. He doesn't want anything. But we, the village board and the village of Tuckahoe, want to tell you how much we appreciate all of the support that you've provided us, the guidance. When I had questions, I called Ronnie, I called Adam, and they were always there to support us. And we want to acknowledge the work that you've done here. We don't want for people to have their roses when they're gone. They should get them now. And so I actually want to acknowledge our deputy mayor who suggested that we do this. She's a scientist herself, so this is important to her. And I want to present you with this and tell you guys how much we appreciate your level of professionalism, your care. We were in the middle of the night going into people's homes to provide them with the vaccine because they couldn't get out of their homes. And so I'm almost, getting emotional just saying thank you. We really appreciate you. So, and I don't care, I'm hugging you. Thank you. Adam? Adam is the owner of Sedgwick Pharmacy. And I want to also thank you, Adam, really from the bottom of my heart, and the entire board and the village. Thank you for giving of your time. I know after long days, you would come by yourself and with the assistance of volunteers, give us testing, vaccines. At one clinic, you left because we thought we were done, and then people came and you drove back. So that just really is a testament to your love for humanity, this is not just a job for you. So thank you so much, Adam. I don't have to work out tomorrow. Okay, so we have had a few months of public hearing to consider establishing a model landmark preservation local law. I know many of you are here to hear the vote on this, but the public hearing is still open if there's anyone else that would like to offer comments to the board or make recommendations. Okay, there is, sure.
Hello, I'm Nicole Engelbert. I live at 117 Bella Vista. I want to thank the mayor and the village trustees for putting forward the Village of Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Law and the creation of the supporting task force. Tuckahoe has a rich and proud history, is a key part of why my family chose to live in the village. It's funny and a little weird, but we have a magnet on a refrigerator that says Tuckahoe is marvelous. But seeing kind of marvel in prestigious buildings around the state and in the city and across the country, it's just a small part of our history. It's just a small part of what makes Tuckahoe so special. When my family moved here, it was 2015, I went and I purchased a book called Out of the Wilderness. Look, I have a prop here. Out of the Wilderness, which was published to celebrate the 350th anniversary of Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and Bronxville. It's a great book. If you don't have one, you can borrow mine. That's totally cool, because it tells an amazing history of our village from its inception. But to ensure the preservation of that history, and ensure that the buildings and the structures that history profiles in it, to ensure that it lives beyond the pages of just a very charming book, we must be proactive in our protection of those buildings and structures. I mean, we all hear the bells of Assumption Church. It provides me incredible peace. I hope probably for many of you as well, every day, nearly on every hour, because I live so close to it. And certainly seeing friends and neighbors as we shop and dine along our beautiful main street provides that comfort kind of community. And certainly for me, grabbing that grande non-fat latte at our absolutely beautiful and distinctive kind of train station makes the morning commute just a bit easier. But make no mistake, each of these is an example of how preserving historic buildings, kind of with economic realities, guided by the wants and needs of our community, is critically important. I see the Historic Preservation Law and Task Force as a crucial and effective strategy to ensuring that we find that balance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for that. I want to take a step back and just ask if Ronnie or Adam would like to say something. You may.
I think I probably speak on behalf of Ronnie as well when I say thank you for including us in your efforts to keep the village safe and just do our small part and what we were able to do in this crazy pandemic. So thank you for that. And it really was a pleasure, getting to know a lot of the residents of Tuckahoe. So thank you again. It was our pleasure.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
also echo what Adam has said. It has been a pleasure working with all the residents, working with your team. And it was, going into folks' homes and seeing their appreciation. It just tells me, this is why we got into this business to begin with. And I know I definitely echo that when it comes to Adam, is we're here to serve. I think Proud Mom said it very well, and that's exactly what we did when we took our oath as pharmacists. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronnie. I also want to acknowledge that we received an email from Ed Conway in support of the legislation for historic preservation. So I wanted to acknowledge that. If there is no one else that would like to speak regarding the landmark preservation local law, I will close the public hearing. So may I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. And so I think I'm going to skip over the adoption of the minutes. And I just want to let Adam and Ronnie know you don't feel obligated to stay. You can, you're welcome, but don't feel like you have to. We're going to move on to the first resolution authorizing the establishment of the model landmark preservation local law. And I would like to also include the appointing of the members that will serve on the commission for that board, effective upon the filing with the New York State Department of Health, as follows. Jenny Steinhagen for a term ending March 31st, 2021. Joshua Giacone for a term ending March 31st, 2024. And Ladislau Castellanos for a term ending March 31st, 2023, with Jenny Steinhagen as chairperson for a term ending March 31st, 2023. May I have a motion authorizing this law and the establishment of the commission and the board members?
So moved.
Second.
Will you please call the roll?
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor. And so Tuckahoe officially has legislation to protect our historic landmarks. Congratulations. So I think I'll actually allow for an opportunity if anyone would like to say a few words about this. Jenny or anyone?
Wow, well, this is exciting. Nicole, you're awesome. And put so eloquently, I think, the sentiments that so many of us here in Tuckahoe feel. And thank you for sharing that. Mayor Andino, members of the board, I'm incredibly honored and grateful to be appointed to this Historic Preservation Commission and to enact the directives contained in the Tuckahoe Historic Preservation legislation and to share with all of you, with all of Tuckahoe, this truly historic moment. Mayor Andino, without your support and encouragement and vision, I don't know if this would have happened in such a delightful and positive and amazing way that it has. And members of the board, thank you for your review of the many versions of the draft that we submitted over this past year, and to the Tuckahoe Village administration, especially David and Gary. Thank you for your time.
Poor David and Gary.
You made sure that we got to the best version of this draft. That was Tuckahoe's version of this draft. And it was a lot of work that went in this past year, but really this is the culmination of the efforts of many people who have come before us, generations of people. And because of this legislation, we can ensure that these efforts will continue to the generations that will come long past us. So this is for Tuckahoe, present, past, and future. It's for all of the people who built, lived in, worked in, administered in, taught in the buildings that from this legislation we now have the ability to recognize their historic and architectural significance and make sure that those walls tell future stories. It's for all of the people who chose Tuckahoe to bring their businesses into those cool old buildings and to innovate and to bring industry and groundbreaking life-saving research even right here in Tuckahoe. And if we go back even further, people lived and fought during the Revolutionary War and skirmishes that happened right here in Tuckahoe. And there is a home that witnessed that because of this legislation, we now have the ability to consider for local landmarking. It's incredibly significant for the people who stood up and said, the old stone mill, early 1800s industry, way before the trains even came out here. There were threats to tear that down many years ago, and it's for those people that we continue these efforts. For those who stood up and said the marble industry, incredible history. It deserves to be respected and remembered. And the people who crossed oceans to carve out their stories here in Tuckahoe that now have become our stories. Which brings me to all of the people who have been keeping the historic record for Tuckahoe, the people who have written chapters and books and articles and given tours. This is certainly for you and the Tuckahoe History Committee, so many people doing so much work for such a long time. Our village historians, Alice White, Phil White, Liz Leakey, an amazing woman who continues to do amazing work for Tuckahoe. And of course, Richard Forliano, the Eastchester town historian who is on Zoom tonight. I think we could have considered calling it the Richard Forliano Tuckahoe Historic Preservation legislation, but that gets a little bit long. So please know that you are built into this legislation. You inspire so many of us through everything you do and continue to do, and thanks isn't big enough a word for protecting and preserving the history for all of us. So Tuckahoe of the past, please mute Tuckahoe of the present. And I know Lane Provenzano, who is a member of the Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Task Force, is by our side with the History Committee. It was just months ago that a Tuckahoe student stood up here and said that she was her hero. And I completely get that and understand that and agree with that. We have such an amazing team, Josh and Laszlo. I'm privileged to work with them. They bring an incredible amount of talent and skill and insight. We are ready to hit the ground running. Please count on us. This is for Tuckahoe, as Tuckahoe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving. So I will go back to the adoption of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 6, 2021 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so we'll move on to resolution number 2, authorizing the surplus of a 2003 Dodge Series pickup truck. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And last but not least, we have to pay the bills, authorizing the approval of vouchers in the amount of $678,555.98.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, so it's pretty good. 7:30. We're moving on to departmental reports to the board. We've saved the world. We've thanked people. You know, we're doing pretty good, right? May I have the chief come forward and give his report to the board?
Good evening again, Mayor, members of the board. I think we want to bottle this enthusiasm that
Oh, yeah.
great job by the speakers, previous speakers. Just a couple of things. Speaking of history, I just couldn't help but think about when we were swearing in the young men tonight, wearing their masks, that hopefully when they show the pictures to their children someday, they'll say, Dad, what the heck were you guys wearing that night? So I hope we could do away with these soon enough. Just a couple of things I wanted to discuss. We lost 2 people in this village with direct links to the police department in the last couple of weeks, and I just want to speak about both of them. First, Doreen Moore Alexander, who was a crossing guard for the village for many years with the police department. She had the crossing right here at Main and Cameron, and you know, she was in a way that only Doreen could do it. She, you know, if a kid forgot their instrument or their books or their lunch, she'd make sure that they ran home and got them before the bus came. She was a fixture at that intersection with making people laugh and making sure that, of course, the children got across the street safely. Her loss to this community, to the Alexander and Moore family, is so profound. And, you know, on behalf of every member of the police department, I just want to say we're very sorry for your loss, and it really was a pleasure to have known Doreen, and she will be greatly missed. The other person was Fire Captain Phil Pinto, Phil was a 32-year veteran of the fire department. He rose to the ranks and became a captain. Phil started his career as a police officer, and I had the privilege to be his supervisor. I was his sergeant when he got hired. And there was no doubt that public service was his forte, because as we talked about earlier, and as Lieutenant Bellis spoke about service to the community, Phil was the epitome of that in his service in the fire service, as well as being an excellent police officer. He would have easily excelled as a police officer had he stayed in law enforcement. He chose the fire service and clearly excelled it as he rose to the ranks very quickly to become a captain. So to the entire Pinto family, our condolences. He, passed away way too young, and leaves behind a beautiful family. And again, the whole community mourns his loss, and we're very sorry for that.
Thank you, Chief.
That's all I have.
Okay. DPW Superintendent Frank DeMarco.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. I just want to take this opportunity also to welcome Daniel and Brandon Bellis to the police department, and of course, if I could help them out at all, I'm here. But sincere condolences to the Phil Pinto and the Captain Phil Pinto and his entire family. Like John said, it's an amazing family. He was just an amazing man, and it was good to know him. That's all I really have tonight.
Okay.
If anybody has any questions for me? No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank. Elaine, will you give the library report?
First of all, I want to thank the board for everything you've done for passing this historic law, and all the effort that went into it. And thinking about the boys, I want to congratulate Brendan and Daniel. We share my grandfather and their great-great-grandfather who worked in the marble quarry. So when we talk about history, my other grandmother worked in Hodgman's. The long line of so many of us, the connections, and protecting that history, and then the future history that will be made. So thank you again. I did want to share some things that are happening at the library. We are back open. We have had to close in the evenings while some construction is taking place. Our bathrooms are being renovated. They're coming along beautifully. So we are open again Monday and Wednesday evenings until 8:30. We do not have the restrooms open yet, but we hope that will be remedied in the next week or so. Some of the upcoming programs, January, you're ready to tidy up. So we have Virtual Tidy Up and Spark Inner Joy on Wednesday, January 19th at 2 p.m. And that's going to be instructor Linda Verga on Zoom, the KonMari method. So you're all familiar with that. And then online self-care, Writing to Feed Resilience on Thursday, January 20th at 1 p.m. Join us online as author Marge Pellegrino shows us how to explore being present on the page, and local author Marge, Phil and Alice White's daughter. And I would be remiss not to say something again about the history. All of the foundation that was created by Phil and Alice White and Richard Foliano, who spearheaded this, so I didn't want to forget to thank them for all they've done. And speaking of history, the Eastchester Historical Map virtual tour, so we do have one here in the village. Lissa Halen, the archivist for Eastchester Historical Society, will be doing a program on Wednesday, January 26th at 6:30 on Zoom. So I hope you join us for that. On the 25th, Tuesday the 25th at 11, we have a special bilingual Mandarin story time to celebrate the Chinese New Year. We do it every year. It's fun. Don't miss it. And then we're starting our online winter storytime sessions on January 18th, Tuesday at 11 a.m. and Friday at 11 a.m. Our children's yoga starts this week, Thursday, January 13th at 11 for pre-K, and for kids 6 to 10 at 4 p.m. And tomorrow we have Mike Teeter doing an online art class.
Other programs for adults and teens, we have DIY bookbinding. You can sew your own journal to hold your thoughts and wishes for 2022, and that is on Friday, January 14th at 4 p.m. We also have Monday, January 31st, Virtual Adult Book Club. They'll be doing Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. You could pick up a book at the library. And then our ongoing recurring programs, on Wednesdays at 12, we had virtual meditation. Thursdays at 5:30, we have online yoga. Tomorrow we have online memoir writing, Tuesday, January 11th at 1. We also have tomorrow at 4 o'clock online Tibetan sound healing with Karen Reitz. And then on tomorrow on the 25th, we have Tai Chi with Alex Lamas and a virtual art class with Jessica Schifoletti on January 26th at 4 p.m. And you can access all these and sign up and register on the calendar at the library. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Elaine. Camille, do you have anything?
No report.
Okay. Gary?
Very briefly, I wanted to commend the Historic Preservation Task Force. I think the law that you've submitted is amazing, and that's, of course, with the support of the board. You guys did a great job, and this is an exemplary law for, I think, other municipalities to follow. I think you did a great job. Also, I want to congratulate Connie for being the court clerk, but when we gain somebody, we lose somebody, and that's Miss Stevens. I've worked with Maureen Stevens, our court clerk, for about 20 years now, and she's just been an amazing person. I've learned so much from Miss Stevens, and I wish her the best in retirement.
Yeah.
And lastly, shout out to David Burke for handling Zoom at these meetings.
Village Administrator. Hey, David, do you have a report back there? That's okay. So just to let everyone know, the next village board meeting is on February 7th at 7 p.m. We will likely still have them in person and on Zoom unless something changes, so just keep track of any updates. And then that'll take us to Board of Trustee member reports, and we'll start with Danny Lang. Trustee Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. So first off, congratulations to the Bellis boys and the Bellis family, and thanks for continuing the legacy of law enforcement. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Congratulations to our Landmark Committee, and congratulations to the History Committee as well, and thanks to the task force for all your hard work. Thank you so much. It's been a long road, and you guys did a wonderful job. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of those same two wonderful people that the chief had mentioned. Miss Doreen Moore Alexander, she's crossed my children. I can't begin to tell you. She was just, her smile, she was tough at the same time. Doreen was a lifelong resident of Tuckahoe. She graduated from Tuckahoe High School, continued on at New Paltz. She proudly served our village as a crossing guard for more than 16 years. Doreen also worked at Eastchester Recreation Department, continuing to care for children. Being around kids was something she really enjoyed. She'll be truly missed in our community, and our hearts go out to her family. Again, next I'd like to acknowledge the passing of Phil. Phil Pinto was a lifelong resident of Eastchester, again, who rose through the rank and achieved the rank of captain in our Eastchester Fire Department. He proudly served the residents of our town for more than 30 years. We thank him and his family for their service, and our hearts go out to Phil's family. On another note, I had a privilege of assisting the Bronxville Student Faculty Legislature with help from the Bronxville PTA in handing out over 150 Christmas meals to our residents of 4 Union and to the Eastchester residents of 46 Jackson. First, I would like to thank Peter Cocolet for heading up this huge undertaking. I would also like to thank Spencer McCormick, Charlotte Harwood, and Mr. Klurfeld, all from the Bronxville Student Faculty Legislature. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and I hope you continue this fine work. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank Eastchester firefighter Alex Del Bracco for taking the lead and helping the Bronxville Student Faculty Legislature in organizing such a wonderful event alongside with his son and daughter, his son Alex and daughter Marissa. And special thanks to the Eastchester Fire Department Captains Calby and Debitetto for assisting and being so generous with their time. Lastly, Mayor, I would just like to ask the board that the next time we get testing kits, I was hoping that the board would just consider handing them out without having potentially infected people enter our village hall. Simply just show your license and we'll hand you a kit. So I was just hoping that the board would take that into consideration, being that we had so many of our employees here in the village hall affected. So just to eliminate any potential exposure, just thought that might be a good idea. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
So, what a night. It really is amazing, the energy, the enthusiasm, as the chief mentioned, but I also want to note how serious these things are that are going on, right? It was 2 young officers taking their oath tonight, 2 pharmacists who have given of their time. I want to reiterate that pharmacists could choose to stay in their bricks and mortar building. They didn't have to go anywhere. It was really by, grace of the relationship they had with our mayor and the great people they are that they came here and went into people's homes. During a pandemic, this is a very serious thing and a very serious act of kindness and compassion. And so I'm so very glad that we recognize them. And then to our historic task force, we have had a long history and chronology of capturing that, but tonight you did something very serious. You wrote a law and you put it into effect. That's a cornerstone of democracy as well. So congratulations and thank you for that. So on to planning and zoning. This month's zoning board meeting has been adjourned, so the next one will be scheduled on February 9th. The next planning board meeting is going to be held on January 18th and contains 2 items of interest that were around Concordia College. One is a request to subdivide the lot on 225 White Plains Road. That's the large lot where there is a very large white house, which, as I understand it, has no historical significance, right? That's very different than the Ward House, which does have historical significance. So I had a question from a resident about that, and also a question, or not a question, but a comment where a resident had been told by a real estate agent that Tuckahoe would never subdivide that lot. So I just wanted to remind everybody that real estate agents don't have that authority. You really need to, if you're interested in anything like that, call, our village administrator / audio visual guy, and he'll be able to point you to the building department or to other people who could answer that question. The second item on the planning board agenda will be 200 White Plain Road, and this is a soccer field which they are looking to redo, which is now Iona University. Eastchester Schools has some exciting things coming up. They have a Board of Ed meeting tomorrow night at 7:30 in the school library. This will be live streamed as well as people can attend in person. The board will be presenting their efforts on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee with the district's strategic plan for that. On February 15th, the Eastchester School District will be voting on a $68 million bond with an option to add an additional $7 million. The focus of this bond is really to improve a myriad of failing infrastructure across all the school buildings in the district, as well as add security features to all the schools. The $7 million option is really around air conditioning in the school. So I encourage everybody, you can go to the district website, you can see all the information from the construction company that planned this, as well as the school is right now giving tours, so you can see what they're dealing with and why they need this bond. I want to congratulate 2 Eastchester High School students who were chosen as semifinalists in the Regeneron Science Fair: Riley Keating, whose project measured the impact of climate change on hurricanes, and Ava Patsarasi, whose project involved looking at the impact of a mobile mammography van and its ability to improve medical care for underserved women in New York City. Two very heady projects. These kids are picked. There's about 300 semifinalists, so they'll now move into the finalist round, but very impressive, and we wish them good luck in the finals. About a year ago, in February 2021, we had a gentleman named Robert Keston here to attend a meeting about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and his efforts to have all Westchester municipalities adopt this as a way for members in the communities to begin to use a common language, to talk to each other, and to acknowledge our commitment to each other. So we put this on the back burner for a while, but really one of the things that caused Robert to come here was that was a month after the insurrection on January 6th. And, you know, as a country, there's still a considerable amount of division and fighting. So I'm proposing that we move forward as a community to take advantage of the 4-hour session that would be available to residents if we were to adopt the Declaration of Human Rights. So we're going to look for some common language that can help and foster productive discussions. And I wanted to, you know, there's 30 articles in this declaration, but I just wanted to read the first one because it really captures the spirit of the entire declaration. So Article 1 is, all human beings are born free, equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. So I'm going to ask that we put this up, a link to this up on our webpage, and next month that we talk about it and adopt that.
I think it's up. Am I right, David? I think I saw it up, yeah.
Yep.
It's
Okay,
up.
thank you for that, David, so quick. Yet another skill you have, David. January 9th was National Law Enforcement Day, and I just wanted to recognize our police department for all they do in the community, especially through this latest spot of bad weather. And I wanted to thank both Lieutenant Rhoda and for picking up the COVID tests. So the minute that we got notification that these tests were going to be available to us, it was in the evening, Lieutenant Rhoda went out of his way and picked them up, I believe in White Plains on his way home, and then brought them in for the next day. And Lieutenant Zerolnik was here to keep the peace during the test distribution, which was on Christmas Eve. So there were no village employees in the building other than Lieutenant Zerolnik at that time. And we were only taking a couple people up into the table up here. We were checking licenses and giving them. So I just want to make sure people understand that it wasn't like there was a pack in the front out here. So I just wanted to thank them again for all of their efforts. We couldn't have done it without them, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Trustee Taylor.
This is my Ecap trustee report. On December 17th, the Eastchester Community Action Partnership was able to give gifts to the kids who are in the Books and Beyond after school program. And this is thanks to the generous donations from our Tuckahoe Police Department, the Tuckahoe School District, Jesse Tree, the Junior League of Bronxville, the Tuckahoe, Bronxville, and Eastchester Community Chamber of Commerce, and several local community residents. Ecap would also like to thank Loretta DeSimone for providing the food and beverages for their after-school program's Christmas party. On December 20th, Ecap had its community distribution and provided food for 32 families. They also distributed toys, coats, Pampers, poinsettias, and wreaths. The after-school program was delayed an extra week before opening, and the New York Project Hope in-person program, helping seniors cope with COVID, and the Family Services of Westchester weekly program has been suspended at this time, all due to COVID concerns. Ecap's tennis program for the after-school children will be starting this month at the community center. Ecap has also formed a new partnership with registered nurses from Mercy College, and they will be coming once a week on Wednesdays starting on the 19th of this month. Ecap has also formed a new partnership with Sweet Greens, which is a new restaurant opening at the Ridge Hill in Yonkers on January 25th. And Sweet Greens will be donating healthy meals to the Ecaps starting on February 15th. as part of their social give back program. The Tuckahoe Community Center. February is American Heart Month, and on February 5th, at the Tuckahoe Community Center, we'll be hosting the Forever Rallying Annual Blood Drive, run by Rita Master Baradino. That's a long name. And it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. To assure social distancing and maintain room capacity levels. They are recommending that you schedule appointments, and appointments are made by scanning the QR code on their flyer, which I have copies of, and there are copies at the community center also. February is also Black History Month, and the following events will be celebrated at the Tuckahoe Community Center for Black History Month, and they were put together by Adrian Michelle. On Friday, February 11th, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. will be Black History Night presents Movie Night. Saturday, February 19th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., genealogy program with guest speakers. And Saturday, February 26th, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., it will be a buffet social cook-off with a live disco jockey. The Tuckahoe Juneteenth Committee is also collecting gently used or new clothing, toiletries, baby food, baby clothes, hand sanitizer, and masks for the survivors of the recent fire victims in the Bronx. Donations and contributions can be given at the Tuckahoe Community Center, and you can contact Adrian Michelle for more info, and her number is 646-335-8372, and this collection will be going on until January 13th. The Tuckahoe Housing Authority, all of the tenants of the Tuckahoe Housing Authority whose families were a part of the Angel Tree program would like to say thank you to Irina Matsvitska, the Tuckahoe Housing Director, and the Tuckahoe Housing Authority for their donation to the Angel Tree. And and also thank you to the Tuckahoe Tennis Association for putting it together, doing all of the shopping, and delivering the gifts. The Tuckahoe Housing Authority's next board meeting will be on Zoom, and the meeting is on the 18th at 7:30 p.m. And lastly, I'd like to give my condolences to the Moore Alexander family on the passing of Doreen Alexander. I grew up with Doreen, went to school with her, and lived in 35 Washington Street in an apartment right next to her. So she was a friend of mine. It was a little shocking to hear that morning when she passed, because last report I had was she was doing better, and they were actually preparing for her to come home within the next 2 weeks. So Doreen will be truly missed. On behalf of the Moore Alexander family, they told me to thank the Tuckahoe Police Department and the village board for all of their assistance in her homegoing service. They said the police department did an excellent job. And then my condolences to the Pinto family on the loss of Phil Pinto. And I would like to thank him and his family for his service to the community in the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Taylor. Trustee Cronin?
Good evening, everybody. How are you? I want to say congratulations again to the Bellis brothers and the police department. And you are both equally lucky to have each other, so this is great. I'm glad that they're joining the police department. The Tuckahoe schools are excited to announce that they are starting the registration process for the 2022-2023 UPK program. So parents interested in having their children in UPK Universal Pre-K must complete the application package no later than 2:30 this Friday, the 14th. So in order to qualify, your child must be 4 years old by December 1st of this year. Applications can be submitted in person between 7:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. at the Cottle School. or they can be emailed to upk@tuckahoeschools.org. The UPK program is actually upstairs, and it's run by Cornerstone Children's Center. We do everything here. So selection for the program is by lotto, and it's capped at 39 students. So, and this is a federally funded program, so it's done by lottery, and that's required by New York State law. So you put your name in the lotto, and they take the first 39 names that they draw, and then everybody else goes on the waiting list. So they will notify families of their initial lottery status by January 26th. You'll have a good idea by then if your child was admitted. There is a general meeting tomorrow of the PTA, January 11th at 7:15. On January 13th, Cottle is having coffees with the principal at 9:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. I'd like to say congratulations to Junior Yuri Lee on winning the competition for the National Young Composers Challenge. Thank you to we'd like to thank the Tuckahoe Schools for hosting a vaccine clinic on December 3rd and also on December 28th. That was very successful. And I wanted to just say congratulations to the Tuckahoe Tigers cheerleaders. I don't know that everyone appreciates just how athletic cheerleaders are. They put their bodies really on the line, and they take a lot of abuse. And these young women and men who do this sport are really impressive. And so if you can, please do support them in their efforts to get to Orlando this year. The Environmental Committee would like to remind people or let them know, you may not know, that New York State passed a statewide ban on polystyrene and foam containers. So all those takeout foam containers are no longer legal, and so probably you will notice that restaurants are using other things. Most New York State municipalities were already using other types of containers, but just a heads up. I want to. So moving on to the Tuckahoe Seniors, I want to thank my fellow board members for helping serve the seniors on December 16th. We had a holiday dinner, we had a holiday lunch, and we had a visit by former Mayor Greg Luisi as Santa Claus, came in as Santa Claus. The Tuckahoe Seniors are meeting online. They met online last week, and they were meeting on one more week, so this week, and they'll reconvene on the 18th, hopefully, if all goes well. On Thursday, January 13th, former Mayor Luisi is scheduled to do bingo with the seniors. And there is on January 20th, there is a successful aging with Bill Crawford from Monarch Communities is doing a talk with the seniors from 1 to 2:15. Okay. Girl Scout Troop 2642 is still accepting bottle caps for the recycled plastic bench. So if you haven't heard my previous calls, I get dropped off at the village hall very often, these plastic caps. So if you happen to have these kinds of caps and you collect them, I will come and pick them up and I will bring them to the Girl Scouts. And they are trying to collect 400 pounds of plastic caps. So any kind of plastic cap that you can I can just keep pulling these out, that you can think of, I will collect them, just send me an email, and they are trying to have a bench, hopefully, created. Again, I want to offer our deepest condolences to the family of Phil Pinto and the family of Doreen Moore Alexander. It is always really hard to lose people who have been so important and had such an impact on our community. And so our deepest condolences to all of you. I want to extend another thank you to the members of the police department who helped with COVID test distribution. Lieutenant Zarolnik, who stood outside with me and worked the door on Christmas Eve, and to Lieutenant Rhoda, who went and picked up those tests. It was hugely helpful. People were very grateful to have these tests before the holidays, and so thank you to the members of the police department and also to the village administrator for being here and helping us distribute that. And then the last thing is that the New York State eviction prevention moratorium will end on January 15th. That's this week. If anyone is behind on their rent and needs assistance, the Westchester County Department of Social Services has a program to help residents in need. So you can reach out to me and I can connect you with somebody, or you can just reach out to them directly.
That's it. Thank you, Trustee Cronin. I'm just going to ask you guys to bear with me. I have a state of the village of sorts, a sort of a summary of things that we have worked on and accomplished throughout the year. The past 2 years have taken a toll on the world, the country, our state, and certainly on us all here in Tuckahoe as well. We've experienced loss of neighbors and loved ones, and have often been left with an uncertainty of what the future might hold for us. I am really in awe of the human spirit and how we can adapt and even thrive through the most difficult of times. At the beginning of this board's term, we set out to accomplish a set of goals that at every turn tested our ability to stay focused, to keep the best interests of all residents in mind, and ensure that the people who provide us with the excellent services Tuckahoe is known for are supported during these challenging times. In the short 9 months in office, we have been able to accomplish a lot together, and I'd just like to provide you with a short summary of some of the things that we have. I am so proud that this board's first order of business when we were sworn into office was to help secure Tuckahoe's future by protecting its past. Maya Angelou said, "You can't know where you're going until you know where you've been." And several people here tonight alluded to that and the importance of securing our history. In May, we formed the Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Task Force under the leadership of Jenny Steinhagen, and we charged them with 3 things: identifying all of the historic sites in Tuckahoe, researching what the state and other municipalities are doing so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and drafting legislation that would protect our rich history while ensuring that doing business in Tuckahoe would not be cost prohibitive, to all the while keeping homeowners' best interests in mind. Tonight, this board passed legislation to preserve Tuckahoe's historic sites, the first legislation of its kind ever passed in Tuckahoe, and many will breathe a bit easier tonight because of it, and I'm extremely proud of the work that's been done on behalf of the residents in Tuckahoe. So thank you again to the task force, and I look forward to the work of the commission. It's been some years now since the stadium lights were proposed at the Concordia Field, causing many residents angst about their quality of life in the village. The board also passed a local law to prohibit stadium and sports lights in the village in response to the voiced concerns of many residents. Mr. Conway, I see you now. Thank you for your advocacy, and I thank all who came forward to speak on behalf of this legislation. It's also been months that we held a public hearing regarding opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries. This board unanimously authorized a local law opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries and on-site cannabis consumption establishments within the village of Tuckahoe. In a short 9 months, we were able to accomplish passing of 3 significant and meaningful legislation in the village, and for that, I'm really proud of this board, and I'm proud of the village for your support. One key role of local government is to ensure that residents' quality of life is protected through great services like our DPW and our police, ensuring our infrastructure is upgraded. And this past year, we bonded to update our sewer infrastructure. We completed bid to replace the traffic signals at various locations so that at some point in life, I can stop getting calls about the long lights. We completed a comprehensive repaving of streets across the village nearing $1 million. And I've received countless emails and phone calls from residents saying thank you for the paving. We ensured that no jobs were lost, even during the most difficult of budgets this board had to manage. I am grateful to have had the guidance and watchful eye of our village administrator / videographer, David Burke, and our treasurer, Ryan Rueda, who, despite the gravity of things like decimated parking revenue, helped us ensure that the residents did not bear the full economic brunt of this pandemic. We've also not forgotten the havoc that Hurricane Ida wreaked on residents and have held meetings with the county and Congressman's office to hold their feet to the fire and ensure that Tuckahoe is not left behind. We've also restored our membership in the Community Development Block Grant Program. It's a tongue twister. We submitted grants for the playground to upgrade the Union Park Place Park in the amount of $160,000. An ADA ramp and sidewalks improvement grant in the amount of $329,000. We put in a grant for sidewalk improvements on Main Street in the amount of $172,000. And we also put in sewer repairs and relining in the amount of $299,000. We marketed ourselves as a film-friendly village and updated our website to attract film companies to come here and film, thereby increasing our film revenue by more than 50% in the past 3 years. We submitted an application for a public library construction program grant in the amount of $250,000 for the reconfiguration of the children's room to improve early literacy and create space for our teens. We also secured financial aid from Senator Shelley Mayer and Assemblywoman Amy Paulin to help us with our police equipment and body cam upgrades. The Tuckahoe Challenge Road Race, led by our Deputy Mayor Renee Howell, benefited the Friends of the Library and the Beautification Committee to the tune of $30,000 and had the highest participation of business sponsors and runners to date. All of these funds are crucial to maintaining the quality of life that Tuckahoeans have become used to, and we are able to accomplish this and this also helps to keep taxes in check. We've really had a robust village-sponsored community events this year in spite of this pandemic. The Tuckahoe Field Day and picnics, thanks to our community center director, John Galuzzi, and his team. We held movies in the park for the first time. Thank you to Trustee Kara Cronin for your leadership in providing families with an opportunity to be able to get out in a safe way. The Tuckahoe Cares Day was born out of a concern for an increase in litter and trash in the community during COVID. And I also want to thank Trustee Cronin for leading in that effort as well. And definitely last but not least, our creepy candy crawl that I think the chief won't ever live down, that we're going to have to close the streets next year, was extremely successful. We had businesses participate, and I think it all spoke to it was a testament to the desire for this community to come together and to be together. We had more than 300 participants during that creepy candy crawl event. Our response to COVID. We have shown great leadership during these uncertain times. We've held several clinics for testing and vaccines when no one could get them in our towns and cities, and vaccinated and tested more than 1,000 residents in Tuckahoe and neighboring communities. We worked tirelessly to arrange to go to homes of individuals who had mobility issues, and we truly owe a debt of gratitude to the volunteers who, no matter how often we asked them for help, said yes without hesitation. That experience was a true testament of what community is, and a huge thank you as well to the providers that we recognize today who gave of their time and expertise to help keep Tuckahoe safe. Thank you all. And I also want to take a moment to thank all of our boards and committees. In the past, we would hold an appreciation luncheon, and we haven't been able to due to COVID, but I just want to call their names out, so please don't leave, bear with me. I want to thank our planning board led by Antonio Leo, who've done a really amazing job. Zoning board led by Tom Ringwald. Our sign and awning board led by Laura Raffiani. Our Tuckahoe Environmental and Sustainability Committee led by Donald Crosby. Our Beautification Committee led by Suze Chiamara. Our History Committee, Chris Siegel and Elaine Provenzano, thank you. Our Library Board, Ginger Crosby is the chair. And thank you to our Historic Preservation Task Force, soon to be our commission. led by Jenny Steinhagen. I really can't say how much I appreciate when you give of your time and of your talent with looking for nothing in return. I really appreciate the love that all of these volunteers show to our community, and I would ask you to also, if you know who they are, give them a call and thank them. What's ahead? So we're forging ahead with our comprehensive master plan now that we've gotten some legislation out of the way. We will be tapping some people to serve on the master plan committee. We will be updating our affordable housing ordinance. We'll be looking for now moving forward with our traffic light system upgrades. And so those are some things that are moving forward. That concludes my makeshift State of the Village report. I'd also want to congratulate Maureen Stevens in her retirement. I know we will be having a breakfast for her next week, so I'll be able to say thank you for her service. Is it 26 years? 26 years of service to the village. Thank you, Maureen. And then I'd also like to acknowledge some birthdays and passings. Grace Martin, who turned 102 last month. I had the pleasure of sitting with her and presenting her with a certificate of recognition. And I love to sit at the feet of our elders who offer us a rich insight into not only where we've come, but they have some insights into our future. And I also would like for us to acknowledge the passing of Doreen Moore Alexander, who passed away on Christmas Day, and offer the condolences to the family, who I'm sure is really suffering, especially during the holidays, as well as the passing of Phil Pinto, who served as the captain in the Eastchester Fire Department and has been acknowledged for 32 years. The family asked that in lieu of flowers, that donations be sent to the Lustgarten Foundation if you are interested in providing a donation. And so I think I'd like for us to take a few moments of silence to honor Doreen and Phil for their years of service with the police department as well as the fire department. Thank you. And just one last thing, I received a phone call from a resident just thanking me for some of the work that she's seen in the village, and we had a really great conversation. And at the end of our conversation, she said, "I just want to ask that you just not do one thing that I'm hearing you're going to do, and that is to defund the police." And so I want to put those rumors to rest. As the chief stated today, I don't think I've ever been asked, or anyone on this board has been asked, to either fill a position or promote someone into a position that's been vacant that we have not jumped on and done so expeditiously. We love our police department, all of our departments, not only our police department. And what these rumors do is they instill fear in people, with false. When you're making false statements, it creates division, because those who hear these buzzwords that they hear on the news, they start to believe that stuff is happening here. And so I would ask, if this comes to your attention, that you remind people. We have just sworn in 2 new police officers. We promoted, I think, 2 others in either November or October. If you look at our budgets, you will see if the police budget has ever been decreased, and you will see what each person on this board has voted. So you should look for facts. If you hear any, and you can always call any one of us, preferably me, because I am the mayor, and I will give you the facts, and I will point you to the facts. So I just thank the resident who did call me, because it also makes me feel good that there's a confidence that I can be reached and that I'm accessible to the residents. So thank you. So that will conclude my report, and I will open for an opportunity to address the board. Yes, Mr. Laurie. And Anthony, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
I too want to express my sympathy to the Moore family. I went to school with her brothers. I knew them for many years. And to the Pinto family. No one has to say anything about the Pinto family. That name is embedded in Tuckahoe for many, many years through all the departments. In fact, Phil's great uncle was one of the police chiefs in this community many years ago. And Mayor, as you said just now, rumors, okay? I know you reached out to me personally. I don't know who wrote this letter about me saying that I was gonna cut the budget on the fire department, lay firemen off and all that, which all wasn't true. We had one man up in Green Knolls, Jerry Napolitano. He said that I wrote this letter. It's pretty sad that I'm gonna cut myself up and write this letter. I know Mrs. Slater even said that they're trying to use this election to create diversion in our community, and she was correct by saying that. I too conducted myself with integrity for this election, okay? I never did anything wrong in this community. I've been in here all my life. I never stole nothing. I'm here all my life. And as I said, you were the one who reached out to me. Nobody else reached out to me, and I gave you my honest answer. And towards the coward that I would say that wrote this letter, who even put a statement on the bottom of this letter saying that it was endorsed by the volunteer firemen, and that was not true also. The only thing I want to do, Mayor, is move on with the community and look forward to working with all the people in it and do the business of the Eastchester Fire Department. That's all I'm asking. And like you said, rumors, call me up. If I'm doing anything wrong, call me up and I'll let you know. And I just want to say one thing. When we were looking to promote fire captains at the time, I was on the board and I was one of the captains, one of the commissioners who promoted Phil. And as I said, it's a real tragedy. A giant of a man who worked for this community. And as I said, the Pinto name, I don't care how many years you're in this community, you're not going to dig that out of this community. That's a long, long history of people, where they worked, what they did, volunteered, and everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to? Sure.
Good evening, trustees, mayor. Jesse Slater, 21 Wallace Street. I also want to just address some of the same matters that Mr. Laurie addressed in regards to some things that took place during the election for fire commissioner. As some already know, the election for a nonpartisan seat on the Board of Fire Commissioners became highly politicized. However, it was not on the part of myself or my campaign. A falsified letter was sent out that to several stakeholders in the community, claiming to be written by my opponent, Mr. Laurie. It was quite clear from reading the letter that it was a fake, and we confirmed that with Mr. Laurie right away. So no one involved in my campaign shared this letter in any way. Yet there were others who learned of the letter and chose to share it on social media, and even went so far as to imply that I was involved somehow. I publicly admonished this attempt to deceive voters, which is what it was. And I made a statement regarding the letter, just making it clear that it was unacceptable, and not I or anyone involved in my campaign had anything to do with it. So I simply have no idea who wrote this letter, which is why I have accused nobody. But I just want to address some things that took place after the fact. So fast forward to a couple weeks later, after the election, and I was here at Village Hall picking up the rapid antigen tests that our community was so fortunate to receive. So thank you all for making that happen. I know it helped a lot of people, put them at ease. And I saw Trustee Lang, and he asked to have a word with me. And at that time, Trustee Lang, you thanked me for my public statement admonishing the letter. And I told you that I felt it was necessary to make that statement because I felt it was being implied that I wrote it. And in fact, it was being implied. For instance, former trustee Gina Lee made public statements using my name, stating that I or one of my supporters was responsible. Eastchester Town Council member Sheila Marcotte repeated this lie. So during our conversation, Trustee Lang, you told me that after the statement I issued, no one believed I played a part in the letter. And that's great. I'm very happy that people know that. But you can imagine my surprise when I learned of a robocall that you sent out on the day of the fire commissioner's election, which took place after I publicly admonished the letter. So I need to address that. So with permission, I would like to play a recording that I have of that robocall. Thank you. I don't know if you'll be able to, I hope you'll be able to hear it. Oh. I don't know if you can hear that.
Great holiday season. I'm calling you today to ask if you would join us in supporting Anthony Lloyd for Fire Commissioner. Anthony will proudly serve us on our Fire Commission, just as he proudly served our country in Vietnam. But it seems his opponent and her supporters, our opposition, are up to their dirty tricks again. These cowards send nasty letters filled with untruths and accusations. This has become common practice with the left socialist agenda. I know firsthand because my family and I have been victims of this same despicable behavior on more than one occasion. We need to send a clear message: this bullying will not be tolerated, folks. Because truthfully, that's what this is, bullying. So please, join me in supporting Anthony Laurie in today's election, and let's stand up to these bullies. The polls are open from 2 to 9 p.m. I will see you there. Thank you so much for your support, and have a great holiday, Trustee Dan Lang.
So I just have a couple questions. And I'm sorry if that was hard to understand. I've listened to it a couple times. But my question, my first question is, Trustee Lang, what nasty letters full, this is just a direct quote, nasty letters full of untruths and accusations are you referring to in this robocall?
Well, it's quite obvious that you are unaware. So I was actually, 2 letters went out, one on behalf of our Deputy Mayor, Renee Howell, accusing my generosity and my family's generosity and saying that because you're generous is no reason for you to be elected. Pretty much along those lines is what she said. And then another letter went out by a lovely Billups saying that I did not raise the money for certain things that I had spoke about. I can produce every single dime raised. My family personally donated tens of thousands of dollars. And my generosity, I am being victimized. My family is being victimized because of my generosity and my family's generosity. So there's your answer. I saved the letter. I could produce the letter for you that Deputy Renee
Okay, I think you
sent.
misunderstood my question. My question...
You asked me about the letters, ma'am.
Right.
Did you not?
Are you referring to in regards to a campaign
2 letters.
you were involved in?
Mike, what I'm answering to you is I'm telling you about 2 letters that were sent out victimizing myself and my family because of our generosity.
Right, but you stated in your robocall that there were nasty letters full of untruths and accusations sent out in regards to this campaign with Mr. Laurie.
No, that's wrong. I said it.
That's how it sounded to me.
Well, I apologize if that's the case. I'm talking about 2 letters that were sent out in regards to me, Daniel Lang.
Okay, I mean, I
Okay.
can play it again.
No. I would just like for you to close out your statement.
Right, so basically, you know, the way I hear this robocall, you know, I would listen to it again. Maybe you don't recall exactly what you stated on there, but what it sounds like is you're saying that, you know, those involved in my campaign sent out letters attacking Mr. Laurie, and, you know, it sounds like you're referencing this letter that Mr. Laurie is talking about tonight.
What I'm
which,
saying
of
is this
course,
is just
I
more
had
of the
nothing
same, to be perfectly honest with you. As far as I'm concerned, this is just more of the same bad behavior. That's all
Right,
I'm
but
saying.
you said his opponent and her supporters, indicating this was something that I took part in, and I did not. So that I consider a false statement. I consider that
Well,
misleading.
as
at
soon as
best
I
and
open my mail,
lie at worst.
as soon as I open my mail and I seen that wonderful letter, who am I supposed to think sent it? My neighbor? My dog walker? Obviously, these are your people that sent it.
It had
Okay.
nothing to do with me.
I'm just saying, that's,
just
you
to
know,
recap,
the first
it
assumption.
sounds to me like you made a false statement,
Fair enough, that's what you think.
trying to damage my reputation, and frankly, that's the definition of slander. So I just want you to be aware. I'm just appalled that this is the route that, as an elected official, you thought was the way to go.
You might want to ask that to my counter.
Deceiving your constituents, but
Okay.
Fair enough.
I ran a respectful and clean campaign, yet others came out and chose to slander me, even though these statements held no truth. So I just came here today to address my dissatisfaction in the role you played in that.
You might want to get to the bottom of who sent your letter.
I wish I could. I don't know who did it. If I was an investigator, maybe I could find out.
At least Dr. Howell had the audacity to put her name, and Lovely also put her name. The cowards that wrote your letter didn't put any name.
Right, and I just
So-
want to make clear that I have always been ready to come out and say what needs to be said. I've never put my name, I've never had to send an anonymous letter. If I wanted to address something, I would address it like I'm doing tonight.
Okay.
I don't believe
Thank you, Ms.
slander
Slater.
is relevant to people that are in
I
office.
just want to end tonight by saying that, you know, being involved in this fire commissioner election has opened my eyes to some things with the going on in the department, and I have heard some things. I forgive me if these are not true, because I don't like to spread rumors, but if there's any attempt by you, Trustee Lang, or the board to try to prevent the transfer that is basically underway, and has been well vetted, of the firefighter from Mount Vernon to the Eastchester Fire Department, I just want to say I think that would be shameful. I think it would be embarrassing. The transfer is inches away from completion, and I think to try to nullify or rescind this transfer, it just would be really embarrassing. So I hope that is not the case.
I know
Thank you, Ms. Slater.
absolutely nothing about any transfer taking place at any given time. I wouldn't know who you're talking about, ma'am.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes.
Good evening, and
Good
Happy
evening.
New Year, Mayor, Board. Josh Gaccione, 120 Bella Vista Street. First, I want to reiterate the words from Deputy Mayor Howell. Chief, we really want to make sure that the department knows that we appreciate law enforcement every day of the year. So please let them know that. Now, I didn't necessarily want to speak on this issue tonight, but I feel compelled to say a few words regarding the Hometown Heroes project, run by Girl Scout Troop 2642 of Tuckahoe. As many of you know, or perhaps you didn't know, the Hometown Heroes banners hung throughout the village began as a Girl Scout troop project by Troop 2642 under the guidance of their troop leader, Michelle Brish. This effort began as a community service project to bring folks in the village together and honor their hometown heroes while earning their bronze badge in the process. The troop chose to recognize not only the service members of the military veterans, but also the vital work done every day, especially throughout the pandemic, by our first responders, our teachers, healthcare workers, the mayor, the village board, DPW, and others who kept the village, town, and country running through some of the darkest days in a generation. As you can imagine, this was a massive undertaking between promoting the project, assessing the applicants, ensuring that appropriate documents and pictures were arranged, financial allocations, and working with the village to have everything mounted. As with any community service endeavor, with so many moving pieces, some things are bound to slip through the cracks. And I would just like to say that I commend and thank Michelle Brish for the enormous task that she agreed to take on in assisting scouts in mitigating any hiccups. I've heard some grievances from some families throughout the veterans community who either did not hear about the project or did not submit the required documents in time to have their family member honored. I understand that frustration, I truly do. We all want our family members and loved ones remembered for what they have done. But what I cannot understand is why some residents are questioning the inclusivity of this project and even calling the National Girl Scouts of America to voice complaints. Unlike Girl Scout Troop 1531 in Eastchester, who voted to honor military veterans, which was truly a wonderful project, the Girl Scout troops in Tuckahoe decided to honor individuals, organizations, and professions they considered heroes, especially throughout the pandemic, as is their right. In fact, I commend them for recognizing the extraordinary efforts by so many throughout the pandemic and leading the way to show we have enough love to go around for everyone in our village and beyond. In Eastchester, Girl Scout Troop 1531 voted to honor me as their hero. Now, I know some heroes and served with some when I deployed into combat zones into both Afghanistan and Iraq as a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. But I stand here and tell you that I'm not a hero. But who am I to tell the girls of Troop 1531 that they cannot honor me as their hometown hero? And I, for one, feel honored to be recognized alongside fellow neighbors more worthy than I of this acknowledgement. For those criticizing that Girl Scout Troop 2642 voted to include their heroes, veterans and non-veterans alike, you missed the point of the community project. As the kids say, I don't think you understood the assignment. We should be thankful that our young people and future leaders are honoring those who serve the community every day and not YouTubers and TikTokers. I ask you to support our youth in these attempts at community building, not to bring them down. In fact, if we took a page out of their book, our youth, and started to recognize the small acts of kindness done every day, we might find that at the very least, we all want to make the village a better place. I know my time is about up, but I'm not sure if Tuckahoe Troop 2642 will be reopening their submissions for Hometown Heroes. I sure hope they do. However, I do know that Girl Scout Troop 1531 in Eastchester has reopened theirs for any veterans not included in the first go-round. Excuse me. Scout leaders Marissa Ginta and Allison Solano are accepting applications until Monday, February 7th. They can be reached at Girl Scout Troop 01531 at gmail.com. Girl Scout Troop 01531 at gmail.com. Our village and town leaders will have the flyer after this meeting. If not already, I'll make sure I send that out. I hope that Troop 2642 in Tuckahoe is not too discouraged and does not abandon this project. Perhaps folks now have a better understanding of the goals of the troop. Again, I want to thank them for their effort. And just like I am Team 1531 in Eastchester, they can count me as being a member of Team 2642 in Tuckahoe. I encourage all of our members in the community to support their efforts and be Team 2642. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board in person here? Anyone on Zoom?
I know
Can you hear me? Gary, anyone? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Go ahead.
Please state your name and address.
I just want to make sure you can hear me. Speaking to you from the great state of South Carolina, where it's warmer here than it is there. I just want to highlight something that Jesse Slater brought up, and I heard that robocall, and I want to say something because this is so important to me as an American. Danny, in the robocall, you said, referring to the anonymous letter, you said, and I quote, has become a common practice of the left socialist agenda. So sending anonymous letters, you said, quote, has become a common practice of the left socialist agenda, close quote. So it certainly sounds to me like you have some knowledge of who sent this, some general knowledge or specific knowledge of who sent it, because you said this has become a common practice of the left socialist agenda.
If I knew Jeff, I will punch whoever it is in the face if I knew who did it.
Can we
It's that
allow-
simple. If I knew who sent that awful letter, I'd give him a good smack.
Trustee Lang, can we allow the resident to finish his statement? Mr. Zuckerman, Jeff, please remember you have 3 minutes.
Okay, so listen. So I'm going to repeat one more time. You said sending an anonymous letter has become a common practice of the left socialist agenda. So you put it in your robocall that this must have come from the left socialist agenda. I don't even know what the left socialist agenda is. I will tell you that the fire department has nothing to say about gun control, abortion, wars anywhere in the world, about immigration policy, education policy, environmental policy. They don't have any of those agendas. All they do is create a budget and make sure the budget goes for the fire department of the 75 guys and women that are in the Eastchester Fire Department. So I can't imagine any left socialist agenda that there being for the Eastchester Fire Department. So I have no idea what in the world you were thinking. But here's the single most important thing. You had not a shred of evidence to say where this letter came from. Not a shred. I'm not saying that you didn't know exactly who did it, because of course you didn't know who did it. But you didn't have a shred of evidence to say it came from this group or that group or any group. I got anonymous letters. I ran for office 3 times in Tuckahoe, 3 times. I got anonymous letters. I never wrote robocalls and told people and stood up on television and said, oh man, this must have come from the other side. I never said a word, because anonymous is anonymous. And we live in a country where when you get an anonymous letter, that's what it is. It's too damn bad. It's an anonymous letter. And you don't get to say that you have some idea where it came from when you don't have a clue as to where it came from. And that is a dangerous thing for the United States when anybody says they know where an anonymous letter came from, whether it be a group or an individual. And Danny Lang, I'll make the same offer to you I made to Sheila Marca, Tony Calavita, and Paul Carlo on the fire department. I have a $5,000 check for you. $5,000 the day you bring to me the person who wrote this, and we bring them to Chief Costanzo, and we prosecute them for mail fraud. I've got the $5,000 for you. But not only do you not know who did it, you don't even know what group it came from. But your robocall said this has become a common practice of the left socialist agenda, and that was a lie. Now take your mask off and tell me it wasn't a lie. You knew that it came from the left socialist agenda. Tell me that, Danny. Who wrote it?
Okay,
You know what I
Mr.
can tell you?
Zuckerman?
You,
The
my
3
friend,
minutes
are
are
the
up.
only one that's carrying on about this in the town and in the village. So it's very simple to me where it came from. And that's my opinion.
Okay.
Are you? What do you mean? You just accused me of writing it? Is that what you did? Could you possibly be that dumb to just have accused me of writing this?
Did I
Mr.
accuse you
Zuckerman?
of writing it, sir? Did I
Mr.
accuse you?
Zuckerman and Trustee Lang, we're going to end this line of discourse right now. Mr. Zuckerman, okay?
With that slanderous remark that I wrote it?
Okay. So Gary, we have to
Thank you,
mute that.
Danny, for telling me you just
Is there
slander.
is there anyone else that would like to address the board on any matters? Is there anyone else on Zoom?
Madam Mayor,
Oh, sorry, we have one more person.
Christy Giorgio, 50 Columbus. First, I want to thank Josh for that eloquence about the Girl Scouts. You know, this is a demonstration for us about what counts in this community versus the craziness that I just heard. On both sides, to be honest with you. A few years ago, I talked about civility in our elections And I want to remind both the Democrats and the Republicans, we're having an election in a few months. I hope we don't have the craziness of robocalls that accuse people of things. I am all in favor of saying, this is what we stand for. This is what the other side has said in their literature. We disagree with it. That's giving a unitedness to our village. And to have just destructive robocalls is just, and we've had this in the past. And so if people want to write letters and they put their name on it, and I'm sorry to hear Mr. Laurie, I received that letter. I thought it was from Mr. Laurie, frankly. I guess I didn't read it carefully enough. But be that as it may, the point is we have to do better with this. Now, I'm going to just get a little political here. The Republicans say Tuckahoe first. What I say is I want one Tuckahoe. I don't want first. We're not second. We're not first. We should be one Tuckahoe. And so I'm asking that we have some decorum in our village elections. It obviously didn't happen in our fire elections, but I'd like to see it happen in our village elections. As you see, I come very frequently to talk about substantive issues in this. And when there were Republican mayors there, we had disagreements, but I believe very strongly I always talked about the issue at hand. I may not have agreed with them, but I talked about the issue at hand. And I just want to say I'm grateful that through all this pandemic, we've had a village government that has given out test kits, that has fostered people getting tested, has fostered people to get vaccinated. This is really important during this time. And that's what I'd like to see in our village government, is that we have a village government that's responsive for our needs.
Thank you. Unless there's anyone that has any more comments, short ones, I would like to close out by saying a few words. Is there anyone else on Zoom? If at all possible, you can hold your comments to the next meeting, or if you'd like to contact me at Village Hall, I would appreciate if you would hold your comments. I want to end by reminding everyone that Martin Luther King Day is on January 17th. Martin Luther King's quoted, "Love is the greatest force in the universe. It is the heartbeat of the moral cosmos. He who loves is a participant in the being of God." And I have to end by saying that I do not condone, in fact, I denounce any violence that's been stated on this board. Trustee Lang, I think you were out of order. That is not who we are. That is not who we should be.
I apologize, Mayor.
And we have got to be able to monitor and manage our emotions in the heat of the moment. So I want all of the residents to hear this clearly. We do not condone violence of any kind. Violence is what got us to January 6th, because people could not hear a difference in opinions, because people would not accept the truth as fact. And so I ask Tuckahoe that you marinate on Martin Luther King Day and who he stood for, and teach our children more about who he was and who we want to be. So on that note, we will see you in February. Tuckahoe, have a good night.